when I was in college, I took a course called The Gospel According to Jesus. And it was in that course where Dr. Stoutenberg told us to read a book called The Gospel According to Jesus, which I didn't read. Well, that wouldn't have been so much of an issue if we weren't supposed to write like a 10-page essay on the book. So I read the first and the last paragraph of every chapter. I figured that'll give me enough indication of where he was going. And then, I went to a Christian school for 9 years, grew up in the church. The gospel according to Jesus, that's basic. Oh, I got a bad mark on the paper. Ooh. And like the arrogant idiot punk that I was, I went to Dr. Stoutenberg and challenged him. That was a bad idea. Well, and I guess in retrospect, it was a good idea because I learned something. Dr. Stoutenberg looked at me and said, "Tim, what are you arguing with me for? You never even read the book." And I said, "How would you know I didn't read the book?" And he said, "Well, it was obvious by what you wrote. If you had read the book, you would have written a completely different essay because you came to it and you added, it was your ideas and your philosophies and you ascribed it to the author, and he never said those things. And it was obvious." I looked like an idiot. But he was gracious and he said, "Tim, if you want to read the book and rewrite the paper, I'll let you do that and I'll give you the marks for it." So I did. Wow, when I read the book, I realized how off I was and how wrong I was and how I had misquoted and misrepresented the author. Sound familiar? A lot of times that's how we approach our faith. It's like, yeah, I got this. This is basic. And we ascribe things to God or to Jesus that they never said or they never promised. And it's our philosophies and it's our human traditions and it's our ideas that we ascribe to God and say, well, if God was smart, he would agree with me. Colossians 2 says, "See to it that no one takes you captive through hollow and deceptive philosophy, which depends on human traditions and the basic principles of this world." Also says, "Study to show yourself approved unto God. A workman needs not to be ashamed if he rightly understands the word of God." It's not just enough to read it and grab a few verses and say, "See, these are my verses. These are my proof texts," they call them. And that's a problem. We look to the Bible for proof of what we already believe instead of putting our human desires aside and asking God, what is the truth? He said, "I will send you a comforter who will guide you in all truth." It means we got to follow. It means it's a path, it's a journey, it's a work, it's a job, it's an application of the reality of God in our lives, in the world, and our understanding of everything that we experience. But when we look for proof for what we believe, we miss the good life that Jesus Christ came to give us. A lot of times I know that I've been lazy in my life and I've looked for justification for my actions instead of actually looking for God to teach me, to be more conformed to the image of Christ, to be disciplined, to be changed, to grow. But I know, especially in the last year, how God has really reached down into my life and said, "Tim, you really need to study this. You really need to look at this. You really need to start exercising the spiritual disciplines." And in doing so, God has been faithful in teaching me and growing me and giving me a greater understanding of who he is and what he has for me in the best life possible that he sent his son Jesus Christ to give us. So I want to encourage you with that. Stop saying that God just wants you to be happy, because it's not in the Bible. Stop saying that judging is wrong, because we're actually called to do it. Stop believing that hating sin is somehow hating a person. Stop thinking that somebody in sin justifies you from hating a person. I mean, there's a whole lot of things that the church and Christians, we just do because we don't take the time to really be convicted by the word of God. So I hope that's been an encouragement to you. God's been working in my life, and I know he's working in yours. So as we journey this road together, let's encourage one another. God bless you. Bye for now.